Shalom, everyone. It's your girl Sophia Spiritualite, formerly known as Hotep Sophia, also known as Dominique Rebel, and we are here for Astrology and Tarot Reading, which I'm calling the Higher Urim and Thummim, which could be wrong, and don't be surprised if someone gives me the information to change that because I am willingly looking for that. Please take this. Let's burn it. So, before we get started, of course, we want to give all praise and all glory to the grand creator, the Most High. We acknowledge the earthly mother, the Holy Spirit, to be here with us. And we ask that the angels guide us through this process, this exploration, this uh, new way of understanding and combining a whole wide spectrum of things to hopefully give us insight in how to operate and how to move and how to make the most of the cards we were dealt with instead of always trying to play catch up. So, all right, we're just going to go through this, and the way this is going to work, and this is how I will do all of my consultations. So, this is going to be not only an example that I'm going to send to my friend who information I did this with, but also just so you know how to guard yourself accordingly. And of course, since you're seeing this, you can gather all the information yourself. It's in a million different places. There's lots of data points, and if you are aligned with the Holy Spirit, you can also get this directly from the Shekinah. Will gladly give you this information, but if this seems like it's just going to be too difficult for you to do on your own, that's why we have it as an option if you need it. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, and when you have a session with me, a consultation with me, you will receive this document, and there will be the associated reading that goes with that. And depending on how many I have to do, it might be pre-recorded in this format just so you can have the whole thing and I don't have to be interrupted. But then I will also include some sort of a 15-minute talk or something like that, conversation about what it is that you saw. But I think it's best to do that after you get the information. And I think I will present the information to each person in this format because it's easier for me to do it. And that way I can just explain everything I have to explain and you have a copy of it. And that way there's no it's easy. It's hard for someone to be confused when they have a physical copy of their information. They're not trying to scramble and take notes. You can just go back and re-listen to it, because when I first got my astrology reading, the most helpful thing was that it was recorded. So I could go back a year later, listen to it, see that it was completely accurate, and that's what really pushed me into this astrology thing, because the person who did my reading was exceptional. And the reading was so exceptional that literally it was completely accurate even to the next year. So I think that was just the Most High really putting that on me, because a lot of astrologers are not really that good. And this particular individual is pretty good. So, and this particular individual is my teacher. So that is to say, some of this information I got from him, and of course, as I do more readings, I'll get better at it. So that's why I just want to do this first one. I have a couple more people who have volunteered to be guinea pigs. And the most important thing for me is that to be totally, completely 100% honest, I have no source of income. I know how to do this stuff. I'm pretty good at it. And if the Holy Spirit said if I want to make it, I have to do this. This is my only option. Absolutely nothing else that I have done has worked at all whatsoever. Every single door is closed. This is the only door that's open. And had this not been the only door that's open, I would have never put this together. So all praise to the Most High, and thank you to the Holy Spirit for pushing me directly through this door because I would never make it. So all those who choose to do business with me, just understand that I do put 100% into what I do. And you're going to see this in just a moment. And it's going to be as precise and accurate with the most information I have at the moment. So that being said, all right, let's move on to the next thing. All right, so if you've never seen a chart before, this is what it looks like. And of course, this is for my friend Mika, and I'll be sending her this video. She probably she has no idea I'm making a video with her information, but so I don't want to do this with everyone's information, but I wanted to have an example. So the first thing, well, there's a lot of things going on in this chart. And one thing I will point out is that she and I are really good friends, and our charts are very similar, but almost exactly in the opposite position. So while she's heavy Scorpio, 6th house, I'm heavy Virgo in 11th house, but we are like similar and opposite at the same time. So, anywho, so her sun sign is a Scorpio, and that's indicated by the little purple M that's on the chart. And her moon sign is in Sagittarius, and her governing day is Tuesday. She was born on a Tuesday. Her guardian angels are number 44, number 69, and number 60. We'll go over those a little bit later in the presentation. The primary houses that she has activity in is 4, 5, 6, 7, and 12. Now, because she doesn't have anything in houses 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, doesn't mean that nothing's going on in those houses. It's just that that's not a heavy emphasis for her on this time on the zodiac. So, and what it seems like to me is those areas are areas that you have pretty well mastered at this point. So you don't really have to have a bunch of stuff in there where you have to try it again. Now, there are some charts I've seen where people have something in every single house. That means you didn't master anything the last time, or the time before that, or the time before that, and therefore you have to go through all of it again, which to me personally, it seems like it's a little bit difficult. So you have to work much harder at getting it right. It's not going to come necessarily as easily. So, and the theme that I gave for this particular reading is feel, will, analyze, and fight. And the fight, of course, is because Tuesday, Mars, war, and as we go through the reading, you'll see in this particular chart, it is very, very fight heavy in a lot of ways. So, all right. So let's start with Tuesday. So, in order of importance, this is extremely important to understand. The most influential thing on your personality from day to day is the literal day you were born. And that is because it happens once a week, every week for your entire life. The moon is the next influential because it happens once a month, every month for your entire life. Then the sun happens once a year, every year for your entire life. So the reading goes like that, from the most influential to the least influential. And it doesn't mean that there aren't other influential factors, but it's important to me to point out that your day is the most important. So, of course, the archangel for that day is Camiel. The angel is Zamiel. The metal is iron. The color is red. Traits are hot, fiery, nocturnal, active, and intrepid. So people who are born on Tuesday, they really are night owls. And my friend Mika is very much a night owl. So it's better to try and find things that go with that instead of trying to go against it. Like, if you're born on Tuesday, a regular 9 to 5 shift is probably going to be pretty tough for you. I would suggest something like, overnight, something where you work nights, anything to where you can, your time to shine is at night. So you want to accentuate that when possible. Madem is the ruler of gall, left ear, head, face, smell, and imagination. So when you're in sync with Madem, The person is courageous, invincible, careless of danger, willing to put their life on the line to defeat an enemy, and private in personal matters, meaning this is not a person who is out here telling everything about what they got going on in their life, especially for personal issues. Now, with other things like being courageous, careless of danger, wanting to defeat an enemy, you're very, very open about that. But as far as like personal stuff, you're very, very closed about that. And if you look at her chart, she has a lot of stuff that goes from the first house through the sixth house, which is stuff that is private matters. So more exactly half of her chart is in private matters, and then the other half of her chart is in public matters. But it's not all the way at the top like an 11 or 10 or 9 spot. It's kind of like at the edges. So she's not an overly extroverted person, but we'll get to that anyway. She is, but not like in a typical way like you would see a celebrity. It's a little bit different. So, but we'll get to that. So when you're out of sync with Nadim, this is extremely important for Tuesday people to know. The person constantly starts fight, is prone to committing murder. Prone to committing murder is literally one of the things. Committing various aggressive crimes, fears neither God nor man, and can be very cruel. So people who are born on Tuesday, I have a lot of people born on Tuesday in my life, and it's really miserable for me because when they get upset, they really are cruel. They're extremely aggressive, and you have to just like step away until they get back in sync with Mars. And sometimes it takes a short amount of time. If they know that there's a problem, if they do not know that there's a problem, it could be forever. So that is kind of one of the things with Mars. So the primary dis-ease is pestilence, fevers, plagues, jaundice, head fever, stomach disorders, and wounds. Every person I know who's born on Tuesday has stomach issues. Every single one. So that is something that you really need to be proactive about. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. All right, so Mika has a Sagittarius moon. And just for your information, the moon orbits the sun every 27 days, 7 hours, and 43 minutes. It stays in each sign for about 2.5 days and reflects the exact sign it's in within the zodiac. Meaning, when the moon is in Cancer, it reflects that. I met a moon day person yesterday, and I said, she's like, oh well, I was born on I said, well, what day were you born? She's like, oh, I don't know, let me look that up. She's like, oh, I was born on Monday. I was like, yeah, so that basically means you walk into a crowd and you're just like everyone else in that crowd. You wouldn't even know. Then you can leave that group, go to another group, you're just like them too. It's just it's a thing that comes naturally for you if you're born on a Monday. So if you have a Sagittarius moon though, that is a fiery sign in the house of Jupiter. And people with Sagittarius moons have strong and active bodies, meaning generally you are physically capable of doing a lot of stuff. So people, we all have the moon is in every sign for 2.5 days. So don't be surprised when the moon is in your sign and you get colds, you're lethargic, you go a little crazy, and you have bowel diseases crop up because again the moon reflects the sign that it's in. So when you may be all this happens to Mika all the time, and now I understand why. When the moon gets into your sign, if you are prone to having things just pop up out of nowhere and you're like, what is going on? It's due to the fact that the moon is now in your sign. So sometimes people have stuff that just all of a sudden you get whatever out of some kind of pain or something out of nowhere, and then when you're trying to be diagnosed, it's gone. Well, the moon is no longer reflecting your moon sign, so it's gone on to the next sign. And so you can almost start to track these things side by side. And so that's one thing I think I'll be recommending to her, that we look at her past episodes with certain things and see if we can line it up with the moon signs. Okay, so Sagittarius diseases is prone to sciatica, heat of the blood, pestilence fever, and intemperance disorders, which is basically lunacy. So if you have a Sagittarius in your moon, you have to be really, really careful not to fly off the handle when your time comes up, because you have that as a potentiality, as just the moon in general does that to people. And then if the moon is in Sagittarius and it's a full moon, you know, being a Tuesday person, she's prone to committing murder. So you want to be careful of that, because you are prone to being overly aggressive when you don't really mean it. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the sun. Again, the sun is takes the longest time to transit around, so it does affect you, but it affects you in a more subtle way. So it says it takes 365 days, 5 hours, 47 minutes, and 57 seconds. It's never stationary or in retrograde. So all the other planets, sometimes they stand still, sometimes they're in retrograde. The sun never stands still, and it never moves backwards through the zodiac. It only moves forward. So Scorpio is the eighth sign. Water represents the direction of west, and it is the air of the water. So each sign has a specificity of what kind of sign it is. So hers is air of the water, and that means a steady force of purification. And so what I notice about Scorpios is that they're very consistent. The ones who are, they're very, as the air of the water, they're consistent in that they're always changing. So you can always expect things to change very quickly, but consistently they're going to be moving and shaking and putting things together and thinking about stuff and coming to conclusions and so on and so forth. So that's definitely a moon thing. Okay, I can't see my thing. Okay, so the theme of Scorpio is love, emotion, and empathy. So Scorpio traits are they are the joy of Mars, which basically means that Mars is their ruling planet. Again, night house. So not only is our Tuesday people night people, she's a night person on her sun side too. So she's a double night person, which is completely accurate. Reserved and thoughtful in conversation, which is true of a lot of Scorpios that I know. So the primary diseases that come along with Scorpio are stone and gravel in the bladder, urinary disorders, and fistulas and hemorrhoids. So definitely like bowel heavy diseases. So that shows up over and over and over again. So not in the moon, but in the day, you have pestilence, fevers, plagues, jaundice, stomach disorders. So if you are not only a Tuesday person, a Mars person, and then literally Scorpio is ruled by Mars, you are definitely double, triple likely to have stomach issues. Okay, so now we're going to move on to talking about the houses specifically, and then after this I'll talk about the hemispheres and the quadrants. So the fourth house theme is kitchen, home, roots of the psyche, childhood, and the inner parent. So in her fourth house, she has Saturn, which means that basically she has a private and reserved disposition and has a special appreciation for architecture and construction, which is true about her. She's not here to speak for herself, but she definitely is into construction and architecture and stuff like that. But the thing about Saturn is that it slows everything down. So no matter where Saturn is, it slows everything down. So this would mean, like in her case, she has taken on like a construction project or whatever in her house, and it's extremely slow. And you just kind of like, why is it so slow? Why are things taking so long? And that's because Saturn is in the fourth house. So basically that means it has a slow start, and then all of a sudden it'll start to pick up. But and you just have to know that that's the momentum with wherever Saturn is. It's slow at first, and then eventually it starts to pick up. All right, so in her fifth house, the theme of the fifth house is son, children, is the sun, okay, and the theme is children, pleasure, creative self-expression, and romance. So she has Pluto in her fifth house, which means that when she finds something interesting, she will entirely consume herself with that thing and miss everything else. I think that that is typically true of her. I think that she has taken steps to manage that. So like when you see something in a sign that you don't like, you can do something about it. You don't just have to sit back and let it destroy you. You can try to, make it better. And one thing I'll note it in the next thing. So, and Pluto is also a very like violent planet. So, or aggressive planet. So when you do see Pluto sort of show up, it's going to be a very intense situation. And I think that she would probably agree with that in her life, that she not overconsume, but gets completely consumed with something, and maybe that something isn't the best thing for her, and then it turns into kind of like a problem, and then because it's Pluto, it's like just a big giant mess. So that is just something to keep in mind. Wherever Pluto is, it's going to be a big scene around it. It's not going to be like, oh, real quiet. No, it's going to be some huge blow up, whatever thing that happens. That's what Pluto really does. But like I said, you can work on that, but you just have to know that it's there. All right, so her sixth house is the heaviest house. It is the Scorpio house. So even though her sun is in Scorpio and that's not so much of an influence, she's got five other planets in Scorpio. So she is a super heavy Scorpio. I also have this alignment. I'm a Virgo, but I have Scorpio like 4, 5, 6. It's just crazy. So I know what this is like. I recognize this. So, but the sixth house, mine is not in the sixth house though. So the sixth house theme is, of course, sixth house is Mercury. That's the planet that rules the sixth house, and it's the house of work habits, service to others, health, and small pets. So she has Mercury in her sixth house, which means she's a methodological thinker, and she is prone to overwork. The South Node is in Scorpio, so the South Node and the North Node do not go by houses; they go by signs. So the South Node is in Scorpio, which means you have a longing for a close bonding and mutual empowerment with another person. So if you know that you're like that, but then you have like this whole Pluto thing in your fifth house, you just have to be careful with that, because it could lend itself to a very aggressive and violent situation with your relationships. So you have to just keep that in mind. So she has the sun in the sixth house, which means she has a desire to achieve at work and has enough energy to achieve it. She's very interested in physical wellness and health, which is true. She has Uranus in the sixth house, which means that she's responsible and logical. She's a responsible and logical person who can figure out a solution to anything, which is absolutely true. She has Mars in her sixth house, which basically means it brings heightened passion or energy and physical health and well-being. So I think, in my opinion, her Mars is a little bit. She's this. This is true of her, but it seems like it's kind of out of place right now. So I would definitely be working. Suggest to her to work on things to bring your Mars into alignment, because on that regard, it's a little bit out of alignment. And anyway, we'll get to that. All right, so her seventh house, she has three items, and the governing planet of the seventh house is Venus, and which is Venus and Scorpios with this much stuff in it is it's kind of a recipe for disaster. So in Venus, one-on-one relationships, or the seventh house is one-on-one relationships, partnerships, marriage, and open enemies. And as you can see, her seventh house is above the ascendant, which is that little arrow thing with the little line through it. So it's moving towards the top, but it's not at the top. So she's sort of public with it, not overly like, look at me, look at this is great kind of thing, but more like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna tell people I got what's going on. I'll be honest about that. Um, so Venus in the seventh house. So the ruler of the seventh house is Venus, and she has Venus in her seventh house, which is seems like a pretty well recipe for disaster. But with Venus in the seventh house, that means you will eventually live out a happy love life. The key word is eventually. Venus in the seventh house people are peacemakers, sociable, charming, diplomatic, well liked, with a magnetic personality, and I think this is completely accurate for her. She also has Neptune in her seventh house, which means you will give more than you receive in relationships, which is also true of her. And it's a little bit concerning because she's got that Pluto in the fifth house, and that's the aggression and stuff like that. So again, she's got to be very, very careful in relationships, especially with a Mars as her ruling planet in a few different locations. So you have to be very, very careful about you not getting too upset, and also not like allowing someone to get so upset that you end up having to do something to them before they do it to you. Because the thing is, a Scorpio born on Tuesday will definitely take you out. So it's always, yeah, you got to be thinking about it. All right, so she also has her moon in the seventh house, which means she has an expert skill at attracting and negotiating with people. So it's easy to float from one relationship to the next. They need to be in relationships with people to feel comfortable with their own lives. So that's a real theme of her reading, is that it's very people focused. It's very Western hemisphere, is really like relationships and people. So she's got a very heavy people focused chart. All right, the next one, she doesn't have anything in 8, 9, 10, or 11, but in the 12th house, she has, so the ruler of the 12th house is Neptune, which the theme of that house is universal compassion, karma, dreams, secrets, confinement, subconscious awareness. So she has Chiron in Taurus, which means she deals with painful experiences slowly. And I definitely think that's true. And with that Pluto things is and the Mars stuff, it's kind of like you not only do you deal with it slowly, you kind of deal with it violently. She has a North Node in Taurus, which represents a need to get in touch with your own self worth. And she has Jupiter in Taurus, which means that it's the theme with that is knowing without knowing how you know. And she has said that to me many. I don't know how I know this. I just know it. That type of face. So this is why, because she has Jupiter in Taurus. Well, actually, it should be in the 12th house because it's in the 12th house. I'll go back. I have to go back and change this before I send it to her. So, protected from hidden enemies, gains understanding through reflection and isolation. So, people with Jupiter in their 12th house definitely like to spend a lot of time alone, reflecting, which is reflected in her chart because, like I said, this stuff is right on the edge of being on the southern hemisphere. It's not, she's not like superstar shining bright. It's definitely more like mellow and low key. Like we're working there. We could kind of be like that. So she's not 100% private, but she's not 100% public either. Okay, so that's where this comes up. So the northern hemisphere, 7th through 12th, 7th house through 12th house is the northern hemisphere, and like I said, she's only got like a couple things in the 7th house and a couple things in the 12th house. So she's an extrovert, but like not super overly extroverted. So the southern hemisphere, which is houses 1 through 6, indicates that she's private in nature, and she has private. She has a private nature, and she is heavily into her own personal inner world, but not her own personal inner world because she's got heavy people and family influences, which is in the Western Hemisphere, which is houses 4 through 9. It indicates you need a push to action. So you can see she's got something in 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's definitely somebody who needs to be pushed into getting things done. They can do it on their own, but it most of the time they need a push. So the first quadrant, which is 1 through 3, is I spend time with self. So she doesn't have anything in that particular quadrant, which I think again means that she mastered it in the last time on the zodiac. So the second quadrant theme, which is 4, 5, and 6, is I spend time with family, kids, and work. So that's why I keep saying she's got something in 4, 5, and 6. It's a family, kids, work. It's definitely a outer association with people heavy chart. So her third quadrant is the theme is I spend time with others and partners. So that's 7, 8, 9. So just a little bit. Like she's got 2 things, 3 things in 7, nothing in 8 and 9. So she's not overly indulged with spending time with others, but she's definitely dibble dabbles in it. So the fourth quadrant, which is 10, 11, and 12, indicates, or the theme is I spend time in my public world. So again, she's only got a few little things in 12, which is on its way out of, this particular run. So I would say she doesn't really spend a lot of time in the public world. She does because she's present there, but it's not like she's overly indulgent in the public world. So, like I said earlier, as far as recommendations health wise, I would definitely recommend to her that she gets more fermented foods because the stomach issues and whatever, all of those sort of extremity things can be heavily remedied with cultured foods and so I'm definitely recommending that for her. That's not on here. I just put the cell salts, but in person I will tell her you want to weight up on some really good food that's heavy in probiotics. And that is my recommendation for just about everyone, by the way. And on my website fruitsandspirit.com, I do have like home baked stuff that I make, and the reason that I made it is because the first thing I noticed with people is that they weren't getting enough enzymes. And so if you don't have enough enzymes, your cells can't operate. So you definitely want to do what you can to up your enzyme intake, and buying something pre-made from the store is not it. It is not it. I don't care if it says small batch. That's not what that is. So anyway, cell salt recommendations, because she has a Scorpio, Pluto, Mars, heavy. I recommend the Calc Sulf, and because she's got heavy into Jupiter, Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, I really recommend the Silica to her. And I don't have those on my website yet, so I'm not going to say any more about that. So another thing that I think is important for you to know is who your guardian angels are. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about this, and then I'll move on to the cards. So, oh my gosh, it's already 30 minutes in. All right, so the governing archangel of Veulia, is Michael. It resides in Tipperith, which is beauty, and its specificity is Hesad, so it's Hesad to Tiphereth. Hesad to Tiphereth. This one, Hesad to Tiphereth. On this way, because the guardian angels have paths in and out. So, I won't go into that right now, but long story short, it's this one right here, on the pillar of mercy, and Veulia means the god of abundance, and the traits of Veulia are prosperity, wealth, abundance, gives unconditionally, astute strategist, and helps others. And the power time for this particular angel is 2 o'clock to 2:20. So the cool thing about this is that the traits, gives unconditionally, astute strategist, helps others, shows up over and over and over again through her reading. So she is very much in sync with her guardian angel, And I'm hoping that just having this little information will help her to further sync with her guardian angel. And even the time is pretty much a time that she's always up for some reason. Okay, so her next guardian angel, which is over the intellectual aspect, is Mitzrael, which is the God who relieves the oppressed. The governing archangel is Raphael, and the traits are reparations, healing of mental illness, simplicity, facilitates practice of psychology and psychiatry. And I think this is also accurate for her. The power hours for this particular angel is 7:40 p.m. to 7:59 p.m. And what that means with the power hours is that these are good times when you can connect with your guardian angel. And like I light a candle for my guardian angel during the time. It's not worshiping, it's just I call my guardian angel by name. So knowing the name, knowing their sigil, knowing their signature is particularly helpful when you're trying to connect with something. So her emotional aspect of her life is governed by Rochelle, which is the God who restores. The governing archangel is Gabriel, and the traits are clearing of karmic content, giving and taking, intuition, and restitution. I think this goes along with why she has so much stuff in her sixth house. And even in that second quadrant with family, because it's clearing of karmic content, giving and taking, intuition, restitution. All of those things go with heavy family work lives. So the time for this particular angel is 10:40 p.m. to 10:59 p.m. All right. So all right. So we're going to now we're going to do the reading part, and this is getting pretty long, but hopefully it won't take too long. So let's go to our deck. So I'm going to use the Tarot of Life for her because she's not well versed in the Kabbalah, and I don't want to make it more complicated than it has to be. So I have different decks, and depending on the level that you're at, we'll just use a deck that makes sense for you. And it's not that she's new to tarot, she is not, but that Rhoda Mundi deck is really it's really intense. So I don't want to scare anybody off by giving them a really intense reading and then they're just kind of like, what is going on? So first and foremost, we want to give all praise and all glory to the Most High. Thank you for allowing us to labor in your vineyard another day. We acknowledge the Holy Sophia, the Holy Spirit, and we thank her for walking with us each step of the way. And to the angels, now that we've done our reading for Mika, I we request some information that will help to clarify any points in her reading that aren't 100% clear, so that we can have as much information as possible so that we can be making the best possible decisions in life. And we thank you for all of your hard work. You guys are doing a great job, and we really appreciate it. All right, so no cards popped out. So we're just going to do we're actually going to do 12 cards. I'm not sure I'm going to describe every single card, but I probably will. I'm not even going to say that. I'm just going to try not to get too caught up in all of them. So, and then I'm going to have to pull my phone. So we're pulling 12 cards. It's the first card. If I can even fit 12 cards here. Ooh, I might have to slide some back. Hold on. Hold on. All right. All right. Now I know you guys can't see all of these. Give me a second and I'm going to try and get all of them into the shot, and then I'm just going to go over them because it is a lot of cards, and we have not done a big reading like this before with everybody. Um, but I'm gonna write these down and give them to her with the reading, and that's something I would regularly do. Just write it down and give it to you because it's a lot to remember. Even though you'll have the pictures that you can go back, I think I'm gonna take a picture of this too when I send it to her so that she can see um, what the reading looked like. So let me just pull this information from my phone. I didn't get a chance to print it out yet. So, I was on my phone, wasn't I? Here we go. I was like, wait, I know I was on my phone. It's this one. All right, starting with Aries. Aries is your persona. So that would be the very first card that come up, and that card is the number 6 card, which is the Lovers, which is ecstasy. Let me see. I'm just going to read a highlight from this card. So the main theme of this, oh well, ecstasy, a union with another gives you freedom to be who you truly are, and we saw that. Okay, y'all, this is it. Okay, that's exactly what came up in one of the placements of the planets. Okay, so a union with another gives you freedom to be who you truly are. Embrace all aspects of yourself and liberate your spirit of love. So that is in the Aries position, which is persona. The next card is number 2. The number 2 card is Taurus, which is in create your comforts, and in that particular position she has number 11, which is the divine order, which is equilibrium. It is not the nature of the universe to judge what is wrong or right. The universe seeks harmony and constantly shifts into balance so that she can fulfill her potential. So this correlates with the Justice card and the Rider Waite, which is balance, honor, good intentions, advice. And that is in the creature comforts position. The third position is Gemini, which is social life. And she has the teacher. Yo, this is her. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. She's gonna be like, I can't believe this. This is her. So, which is guidance. When the student is ready, the teacher appears in a form you will learn from. The answers you seek are finding you. And definitely, she is the type of person who, when she starts asking questions, the answers just they start coming up. But again, if you don't ask questions, then you can't get any answers. And sometimes I ask her questions, she's like, I don't know, I hadn't thought about that. And then when she thinks about it, she gets the answer. So that's great. Okay, the number 4 card is Cancer, which is about her home life, and that's the 6 of Hearts. Which I would like to point out about this card is that it's called the 6 of Hearts, but it's got a big giant star on it. So it is, to me, that indicates just a little bit of out of order, because if it's a Hearts card, you would think a heart would be the most prominent, but it's not. It's the star that's the most prominent. So that's definitely something she could work on, which is the past. Talking or thinking about the past introduces it into your present, where it continues to create your future. And that is in the Cancer or home life position, which is true. You have to move past your past, you have to deal with it, and you have to try and move on the best you can to your future. So anyway, the next card is creativity. That's the Leo card, and she got the 10 of Hearts, which is beautiful. I love this card. And the title of this card is Culmination. It says, all resistance has melted away to reveal a clear path for you to feel and be loved in every moment. Congratulations. So this is in her, like I said, creativity part position, and I think I think she would say that aligns with her. And also, it's in the Rider Waite. It's the 10 of Cups, which is home, happiness, pleasure, peace. And I think she is very happy with her home in general. Her family makes her very, very happy. So I think that shows up again in these cards. So The next card is number 6, which is Virgo. And that's a 6 of trees, which is receiving. So she got a Virgo. So it's a Virgo placement, and she got an Earth sign. So that's pretty well in alignment. So it says receiving. If you continually give to others and don't allow yourself to receive, you will always be separate from whom you truly want to be. Open your heart to receive. And that's in the health position. And I think that that's pretty accurate because she has a lot of like health stuff going on. And it's important to, deal with some of this other stuff on the first. Did I move the thing? My bad, y'all. Deal with some of this stuff on the first half of the reading so that when you get to this position of health, you can flow freely. So it indicates that she should be flowing freely. And when you see that that's not really happening, like you have this sort of blockage where you're not like in at one with yourself, you just kind of will go back through the first half and see exactly where you're having problems so that you can make adjustments, because by the time you get halfway through your reading you should be fully aligned with what you're seeing. And I personally don't think she's fully aligned. I think it's kind of there, but like that 6 of hearts definitely is a card that's like it's just out of order. Just in general it's an out of order card. All right, so the next card is the 5 of trees, which is in the Libra position, which is love life. Let's see, 5 of trees. Okay, it's right here. Limitation. You are limiting your growth by focusing on all you think is wrong in your life. Focus on the stuff that you love, nurture it, and feel yourself blossom. So I think this could be a reoccurring theme in many people's love lives. They just haven't put enough time into themselves, that it's stuff is just kind of out of order. Again, you can start to see where your path gets off track when you have a couple things that are just not right. And as you go, since this is going through the houses, so this is what it means by just because she didn't have anything in her first, second, and third house. But look at the cards. The Lovers, that's a good card. A positive card. Divine Order, that's a positive card. The Teacher, that's a positive card. Those are things that are in order. But when you get to that Saturn energy, that fourth house, that's when you start to see stuff break down. And then the fifth house, which is Pluto, the 10 of hearts, it's all right, but it kind of just, you have to really resolve this the heavy fourth house energy so you can kind of get your astrological body back on track. All right, so let's go to the 4 of stars, which is advancement. So this, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and in her reading, this is in the Scorpio house, so which is transformation. And already off the back, being that it's advancement, it indicates that she is moving through, she is moving ahead. So even though she has these sort of issues from house 4, house 5, house 6, house 7, she gets to the house where all of her stuff is, like literally 5 planets, and you see advancement. It's a positive thing. Things are sort of getting on track. Let me see. 4 of hearts. I keep going past it. So, no, this is the 4 of stars. Y'all, I was going to read the wrong one. And that is not the right one. 4 of stars. No, stars. Dear God. Okay. I was in the wrong area completely. All right, advancement. Walk the path of your joyous heart. Be loyal to your inner truth, and soon you will be celebrating. So, because she has all this heavy energy in Scorpio, which is transformation, is if she can make the necessary transformation from house 4, house 5, and into this this Scorpio energy, even though it's the 8th card on the deck. It's in the 8th house, which again, she didn't have anything in there. But if she can get it right in the 4th, 5th, and 6th house, then she can really, because it's heavy Scorpio energy, she could really advance and move through or out of the zodiac, which is the goal here. Um, Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 9. Sagittarius, which is spiritual life, and that's the Queen of Trees. Trees, which is an earth sign, with a Sagittarius, which is a bloop, 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 fire sign, which could be a little bit out of order. Queen of Trees. All right, so this card is the nurturer card. Your physical being is in the manifestation of your spirit. You created it as a way to explore the many manifestations of love. Treasure your vessel as is your most constant companion. So again, we have health stuff coming up, and I think that's because she does have a number of different little health things going on that could be resolved, but it's you have to nurture yourself to resolve them. It's not a physical problem, it's a spiritual problem. And until you deal with the spiritual nature of the problem, you're going to continue to have the physical manifestations. The cell salts, the enzymes, and all that stuff will help, but this card, nurturer, along with the teacher card, guidance, indicate to me that you really want to focus on giving yourself the energy that you need to move forward through the rest of the zodiac. So the next card is the Five of Angels, and that is in the Capricorn or career position, and the sign is withdrawal. So for her, that I would think that's pretty accurate. She has had to withdraw from um, traditional work. So it's interesting that literally shows up. You guys, you saw I shuffled these cards. I couldn't have picked this. I couldn't have picked this. Okay, Five of Angels, withdrawal. Spiral inward and be with your sacred heart. Come to peace with a situation by letting it be. Letting go brings understanding. So again, I think that anybody who has to leave the world of work unexpectedly is very upset by this, and you just have to be at peace with it. You can't, you do what you can, but you also have to. I didn't influence this reading, but I swear I could have, because I remember I've had this conversation with her. I've had this conversation with her. You just want to, find something that you can do, something that you think will make you happy, and then just kind of work on it. And, just work towards it, do some research, think about it, pray about it, seek the Father, seek the Mother, talk to the angels, and see what you can come up with. Because if you are able to do that and just be at peace, then this withdrawal is not necessarily a bad card, because you're moving inward towards your heart to again nurture yourself, to focus on yourself. So this isn't necessarily a bad card. It's a bad card when you fight against it, but if you just kind of go with the flow and really like look for something that's going to bring you into peace, then it's a much easier card to deal with. So the next card is in the Aquarius position, and that is community, and she has a Page of Hearts. Page. Here we go. The Page of Hearts is innocence. Come back to your heart and you will see the world through new eyes. Oh, the Page of Hearts asks you to rediscover your value and worth. And this is in the community position. The attention you are paying someone else's needs and opinions is zapping your self-confidence and esteem. So it also says dream a new dream and know how worthy you are of love. So in the Capricorn position, again, no. In the Aquarius position, this is community. This is, I would say that this is pretty accurate. You want to you end up giving out so much to everybody else, and being that she has a heavy second quadrant reading, that is always going to be something you constantly have to work on, not putting out too much that you don't have anything left for yourself. And the fact that this came up in the reading is a clear indication that that's something that we need to work on. So the last card is in a Pisces position, and that's secrets. And that's the Four of Angels. And this definitely looks like a secret. She's in a secret position. So, Four of Angels. So, in the Four of Angels, in the secrets position, it says to rest. The projection of wounds, outdated beliefs, and false ideas onto the world leaves one battle worn. It is time to rest, heal, and transform. And I think that's the literal overall theme of this whole entire reading. Like, a lot of work has been done in the last round on the zodiac, like the lovers, divine order, the teacher, nothing in those positions. Let's see, she had 4, 5, and 6. 7, and then advancement 8, nurturer 9, withdrawal 10. She didn't have anything in there. The innocence, those things kind of didn't get worked out in the last time, so they're not as problematic as what is in 4, 5, 6, because those have the most cards. Those had the most signs in them, 4, 5, and 6. And then, again, once by the time you get to the 12th card, what is in the 12th house, which it relates to secrets, it's like, it's overwhelming. Like, you're overwhelmed just from the whole family aspect, that you have to rest. You have to get some peace about everything that has gone on. And like I said about, let me look that up. The 12th house. The theme of the 12th house is, wait a minute. The theme of the 12th house is karma, dreams, secrets, confinement, subconscious awareness. So in this case, it's literally saying just rest. Like, this universal compassion, this karma, this stuff is you can't really get to it right now. You really have to rest after all the work you did in 4, 5, and 6. Like, it's stuff is there, but it's really like rest. So, like, deals with painful experiences slowly. You have to do that from a position of rest. North Node represents a need to get in touch with one's self-worth. You have to do that from a restful position, not from a overwhelmed position. And in the Jupiter in the 12th house is knowing without knowing, which is like a natural. Rest is a natural thing. So you will naturally deal with painful experiences. You will naturally get in touch with your own self-worth, but not if you're not able to find some rest, find some peace, deal with, the family stuff in 4, 5, and 6, and really, really bring that to a nice, steady conclusion. So, again, I'm going to take, okay, so I'm going to pull a 13, because we have the 12 suns, and then there's a number 13, and this is perfect. Last card, which is balance. I don't hope y'all can see that. Yes, you can. And so this would be in the, I would say this is kind of like an overall theme. What, I had something that said what 13 was. It says Aleph. Let me see. It's the beginning. It's really the big. It's where you will start back if you have to do this whole thing again. Is where you're going to start back at, which is sort of like predicting your next life if you have to do that. So let me look. 2 of Angels. When you have to come back through the zodiac, you'll start from here. If you can get, if you have to come back, if you get this right, then you don't, this is not really as important. But a shift is occurring. Things are happening to bring you into balance, into alignment. Only then can you fulfill your potential. So I think that is a good overall theme for this reading as well. Things are happening. There's no like real stagnancy. You don't see a whole bunch of cards in the same suit. You have like a kind of mix. So you see things are moving, but you don't see like so many different things just completely all over the place. There is like kind of like groups. So, but you have to work through the stuff that keeps coming up so that you can get in balance. And so I also think this is kind of like the theme. If you are able to, through the knowledge of your zodiac, and then through these types of readings, these life path readings, you're able to come into a balance by seeing what hand you were dealt, dealing with the hand that you were dealt, and then you know, seeing how to thrive around it, then you will come into balance. And then that's it. That's your goal. That you have reached what you've had to reach for this particular life cycle, and you can have some peace and take some rest. Goodness. All right. So this is the Astrology and Tarot Reading. I'm calling this a higher Urim and Thummim. I think that this is a personal a personal Urim and Thummim. This is something that you can, you know, once you have it for yourself, you can spend your whole life just working on these things, working through these things, and then once you work through them, you can go on to the next stage, which in our evolution. So this, I really see this whole entire process, I see as a way that we can accelerate through the through what we have to learn, so that we can work on the different things faster, master them, and be ready to have some more of our abilities and our skills activated. So, first, giving praise, glory to the Most High. Thank Him for another opportunity to labor in the vineyard. I acknowledge the earthly mother and thank her for walking with me. I thank the angels for being present. You guys are doing a great job. You showed up and showed out as usual. I truly appreciate it. And I know that my client, Miss Mika, will absolutely love what she hears in this particular reading, and it will bring her comfort and it will bring her peace. And I'm speaking that into existence. So I know that it will happen. So, thank you guys for joining the show today. Of course, we invite the spirits to go in peace. My beloved viewers, you can be at peace, and always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom, everyone, and we'll see you in the next video.